This talk is about the paradox of being only one here, only one being here, but also how connected and intimate that feels. So it doesn't make sense to the separate self that there can be only one and no others here, and yet that's a good thing. It can sound like that is scary or sad that there's no others. And it's just because we've been conditioned to be dependent upon our attachments. Other people, as children, we needed that to attach to our parents so that we could survive. So attachment was an important part of our development as a human. But once we're getting to the stage of waking up, then we start to see for ourselves that there's really no one else here. There's just me, not me who I thought I was as this separate self, fill in your name, but me as who I truly am, which is all of creation, which is this empty thing that can't really be described, but that is actually everything. And so in that, because it is everything, there's nothing else. There's no one else. There's just me appearing as all of these different things that I'm perceiving. And so for some of us, that can make us feel sad. And it's because we're letting go of the attachment of that belief in another, in separation, really, in the belief in separation and that story that we told ourselves about being all these other people that we were in relationship to and in love with. And the fun paradoxical part about awakening is waking up doesn't take anything away from your relationships and from your connection. In fact, it deepens them paradoxically. So although we experience that there's only one, there's only us here, and that we're in relationship with ourselves, which is perhaps strange initially to see, what that actually does is deepen our connection, which doesn't make sense to the separate self. We couldn't feel more intimately connected with not just the people that we're close with, but with absolutely everything, with everyone, with every animal, with the planet, with everything. In Zen, they call it intimacy with the 10,000 things. It is that feeling of intimacy with absolutely everything because everything is you. So from the perspective of the separate self or from a wounded ego, a wounded identity, often when we start to have these experiences of existential aloneness and start to see there's nobody else here, there's just me as the divine, as emptiness, it can trigger stuff from childhood where we felt neglected and abandoned and rejected and wounding around that. And so it can feel quite confronting to feel like there's no one else here. There's no one here that's going to save me. There's no one here that's going to be able to help me in any way. But that's just the childhood parts that are unhealed that want to be healed. Once we work through that, we'll see we can quite easily, it might be a bit sad perhaps, or a bit eerie even, that there's no other there, but it's to go deeper than that and see that it's not that there's nothing there. It's not that. It's that the way we're perceiving it was incorrect due to seeing through the conditioning of the egoic consciousness, believing in separation. We thought that was my mother and that was my child and that was my partner. That's what we thought. And it was a beautiful part of the illusion. Probably my favorite part was that we could believe in these others and fall in love with them and have drama with them, and how beautiful. But waking up doesn't take anything away from that. You can still have relationships and they'll often be better and you'll be more connected than ever. Just because you know that it is you that you're in relationship with, and that's how you experience things, that you're in relationship and talking to yourself all the time. That's how you experience it when you're awake on the level of the heart when you're in unity consciousness. That's what oneness is. But it doesn't take anything away from it. The separate self might have us believe that that sounds like a bad thing, that we wouldn't want to go towards that. But the reality is it's just a paradoxical thing. It's something that the mind can't comprehend. It's something that doesn't make logical sense. But to experience it, as we start to open to this, as we're going through the awakening process, we can experience for ourselves the truth of this, which is, yes, there is only one being here. That's what this is all about. Oneness. That's what it is. That's the truth of it. And it's okay. It's okay if that makes you a bit sad. It won't make you sad forever. Just process it. But that's okay, because it doesn't take anything away from the human experience. It doesn't take anything away from your ability to connect with others, to be in relationship. You could not feel more connected or more intimate with everything, and you will not be dependent upon anything or anyone, which is the bonus of this. The separate self, to feel that connection and intimacy on a relative level, requires attachment and dependency. And so when something goes wrong, all of a sudden you're going to be getting triggered and upset. Attachment wounds are going to be getting activated. This type of very deep intimacy that I'm talking about, that's on a fundamental level, nothing can do any harm to it. It's there no matter what. That's what's so good about this type of intimacy. And we find through the awakening process that that's what we were really looking for. When we were looking for love and connection and belonging and intimacy and words like that, what we were really looking for was not to join a spiritual group and to hang out with like-minded people. It was not to fall in love with someone or to have a very deep connection with someone. On some level, perhaps, but on a much deeper level, we were longing to return home to ourselves, where we could intuit that this is our natural way, our natural state, is to feel this deep intimacy all the time, but without being dependent upon our external environment being the way we need it to, without needing a relationship, without needing to be around others. You could be alone or with others. It wouldn't make any difference. This intimacy will still be there. But to arrive at that is a journey of all kinds of things that I talk about, of opening on the level of the heart, going through the awakening on the level of the heart, and working towards unconditional love and matters of the heart. And also facing that aloneness to see that there's only one here, and seeing the truth, not running from that truth, and seeing that that's actually a good thing. That's a good thing, because it means I can never be alone, because I'm everywhere. I'm walking on myself. I'm breathing in myself. And I'm not dependent upon my outside environment being just right and people treating me in a certain way to feel this. It can't be taken from me, this intimacy. And then we see that's what I was really longing for all this time.